good feedback on using the lapel mic last week. So we will have our speaker today also using the lapel mic. So, and if we need to move it around, we'll just move it around. So that works. Um, Ken Brigg had a nice visit with Alec Bowman last week and suggested that our club send another card of encouragement to Alex so he would know that we are still thinking of him. And I thought that was a great idea. So we will be passing around a card for Alex, and we also will be sending a card around for John Pendleton on the recent loss of his very close sister in law, whose husband, John's brother, passed away in December. So we're going to send a card around for John as well. Our inspection today and our Pledge of Allegiance will be J.C. Taylor. Oh, I should have given him a little warning. Come on, we might need to encourage JC. Come on, JC. Come on. Come on, JC. No, get close. Get close.
Good afternoon to all of you. I was called a few minutes ago by Preston, who's supposed to be here today. He asked me if I would do the introspection. I really didn't know what to say. And okay. So I didn't know what to say. So I couldn't turn him down, which gave me my topic for today. When you don't know what to say. I was asked to go in and speak with a family at a funeral. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't know whether they were atheists, religious, or what they were. So going into the room, thinking about what to say, I had a heavy coat on and I pulled it up around my neck. So when I got up to where the family was standing, I said, the weatherman, you can always use the weatherman. So I'm giving y'all some ammunition today. I'm freezing here, but the weatherman said it was going to be 60 today. So here I stand, wrapped all up in this coat. So the conversation started with the weather. We got to know each other, talking about how bad the weathermen are and how they miss the weather. So I end up making good friends. We had good conversation. Found out what they religious they were, and everything went well. So when you don't know what to say, throw the weatherman under the bus. Join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the great stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice. Hey.
Hello, Rupert.
Thank you, JC. Now I'd like to call Hutzel Hartley up to introduce our guests. Right here. Yeah. And talk into the mic or you get the lavalier.
I have terrible stage fright, so I'm going to make a mess of this. But I'm Hetzel Hartley. I'm a newbie. This is like my third or fourth meeting. And it's all Ken Briggs's fault. Is he here?
Yes.
Yeah, because he gave me a sticky pancake ticket and I fell for the maple syrup. And before you know it, I was a member. So good job, Ken. So I would like to introduce our guests here today. Anna Fierro, if you would stand so everybody can see where you are. Oh, thought she was in here. Ah, there she is. All right. And Eric Sickow brought her in, talked her into coming in today. Don't interrupt your lunch. Kaylin Spickler from Roanoke County, and is a guest of Rhonda Purdue. Can't read the handwriting. Are you sure you're not a surgeon? Ben Oldham, and he's a guest of Mike Franchise. Katie King from Brain Injury Solutions is a guest of Alex Arge. Along with also Carla Flattery, also from Brain Injury Solutions, also a guest of Alex. Cassie Johnson from the Regional Chamber, another guest of Eric. And Stephanie Potter from ServPro, guest of Jason. Thank you all and welcome to Kiwanis.
Oh, Hetzel, can I have the sheet? Thank you. It's important. All right, announcements. There is no meeting of the membership today. I know it says it on the paper, but it's not going to happen. So no meeting today after the meeting. Mike, would you like to come up and tell us about the bike race?
So thank you, President Joyce, Mike McAvoy, and just want to really thank Kiwanians. There's a number of you in the room today that have volunteered for the USA Mountain Bike Championships that are going on in Roanoke this week. They were up at the Cove Sunday for a big marathon race, and then if you go by Elmwood Park, you'll see part of Jefferson's closed down. They're doing the short track there today and tomorrow. And then they're at Explorer Park this weekend for more intermediate races. And I think they actually still need some volunteers for that. But we kind of met our quota, but I really appreciate for you guys volunteering. The number of us were out there yesterday afternoon. They were doing practice on the short track. A lot of kids, and I got a ton of compliments from out of town people. They were really impressed that, that like the city would turn over a park for the race and things like that, and they like the city and the mountains and things like that. So I think we're here to talk about Leadership Roanoke Valley today, and but I think Kiwanis is doing a good job as a kind of a brand ambassador this week. So thank you for volunteering.
Thank you, Mike. Steve Girl, would you like to come up and tell us about a fun committee? Well, do y'all want him as your fun committee person?
J.C. Taylor, you did well this time. Thank you. Our fund committee chairperson, Andre Brooks, past President Andre Brooks, has determined that our next fund committee gathering will be at Ramini's on July 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. Andre, is there a problem so far? Committee. Okay. Andre says that her committee of one made that decision. So just to be sure that is a good place to go, Mike Loveman and I met there yesterday for lunch. He had linguine, I had lasagna, and I can tell you, you need to be there. You have a copy of the menu at each of your tables. See you there. Thank you. I've already said it once, but I'll say it again. July 30th, 6 to 8 p.m., 4216 Brambleton Avenue Southwest, Roanoke, Virginia, 24018. Anything else?
Across from South Okies.
Across from South Okies. Okay. You're worse than me.
So last week, when Ross got up here and talked about the Ducky Derby, it must have inspired a lot of y'all because we collected some more money. So we are now, you ready for this? $935 for the Ducky Derby. So yay. we are still taking money. We have several more weeks before they close the Ducky Derby. So Reef will be here with his wonderful duck hat and take more money. So you can just give Reef your money, or you can go online. However you would like to do it, just please give. Thank you. Chapman would like to say a few words to us. Oh, and Teddy and Sherry.
David, you're going to have a podium here and put your mouth right on that mic.
I like the microphone. A little nervous about the lavalier. I'm just imagining myself in the bathroom and Joyce coming in and said, "Turn your lavalier mic off." Anyway, as you know, I'm president-elect, getting ready for my term in October. So what I'm asking is, chairmans, again, please say if you're willing to continue as chairman. I am thrilled that you do that. If not, please let me know. Number two, I'm asking that you come up with a budget August 1st. If you could have an August 1st budget. And then if you could check in with your members to see if they're going to stay with you, if they're changing committees. And those of you who are new, please find a committee that works for you. That would be wonderful. And the next 2 weeks, just so you know, I'm going to be off emails. I won't be looking at emails for 2 weeks. I do have a phone. If you have something you need to touch base with me about, please feel free to call me on my phone. Okay, thank you all.
I'm going to jump on the mic here to do a brag buck. Thank you. President Joyce gave me permission. I have to brag on John Pendleton, who his family's having a rough week with a tough loss this week. But he met Dave and me yesterday at the nature park and helped fence in these plants that the deer are determined are their dinner and not, to bloom in the nature park. So he fenced it in, and he managed to fence it in and get out of the fence before we closed it up. So thank you, John, for all your work with the nature park.
And as David is gearing up for his year, we have already started with grants. We have sent the letter out, and we have already started receiving grants. So Randy Meyer, I hear you're on Zoom. Good job, guys. $2. Brag about anything you want for 30 seconds. I think it's 30 seconds.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to brag on Don Wilson. I arranged for my Bible study group to go over to Evergreen for a tour yesterday. And we had a fabulous tour through Evergreen, looking at some of the ancient trees that are there and some of the ancient tombstones too. But I thought it was just a fabulous tour, and I'm very thankful to Don. It meant a lot to me because when he talked about some of the history, I remembered those people, or at least learning about them. So thank you, Don. It was a beautiful afternoon for a lovely tour.
I recently celebrated another birthday. It was a large number. And in 2 weeks, Beth and I will celebrate our 49th wedding anniversary. So in keeping with tradition, I have a check for the foundation. Thank you. She would appreciate any acknowledgement and care that you may be able to offer for her. I have said for years that in 49 years, she'll tell you it's the best 4 or 5 years of her life.
Hi, everyone. For those that haven't met me yet, I'm Paul Van Wagner, a new member, been here for about 2 months now. Also been married for officially just over a month, and my wife, Bridget, hasn't killed me yet. I think it's very cool that Brain Injury Solutions are here because I am bragging on Bridget. Some of you on your tables have this flyer. She's putting together a golf scramble to help support Brain Injury Solutions, and they are looking for teams. It's Friday, August 7th at Ashley Plantation. So if you are a golfer or you have family members or friends that are golfers, please, there's a QR code at the bottom to scan. If you don't know how to do that, just take the flyer with you. I'll get more. So thank you, everyone, and go blue.
Pegram Johnson, I'm here to brag on our former longtime member, Dee Copenhaver, whose funeral I went to on Saturday. It was just a beautiful ceremony, all about Dee. The minister's homily was about Dee's life, was a life of service, and that certainly was true. Her twin brother was there and spoke after the minister and happened to mention that Dee had well, first off, he mentioned that Dee had been in Kiwanis for 13 years, which didn't show up in her obituary because he didn't know that until he came across some of her notes while going through her apartment at the Glebe. But anyway, he mentioned she was in Kiwanis, and he also said Dee had a little table outside the door to her apartment, and on that table was a little bowl of hugs. And people would go by and pick up a hug if they ever felt like they needed one. And I thought, what is he talking about? But anyway, when the service was over, the minister said, we've got a bowl of hugs as you go out of the church. And be sure and take one and think about Dee, or if you just feel like you need a hug. So I brought a handful of Dee's hugs, and they're in this little bowl right here. And if you feel like you need a hug or you'd like to take one in remembrance of Dee, please do. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Franzese, and some of you may recall that it was not a Kiwanian who first invited me here. That I was actually advised to check out the Kiwanis Club from a non-Kiwanian, and I'm very glad to say that that gentleman is my guest here today. Ben Oldham is the person who. When I went to him to ask for advice on how to get to know the community, he advised me to check out the Kiwanis Club, and I think that has worked out very nicely. Delighted to be here, to be a member, and thank you, Ben.
Hi, I'm Val Brown. I'm the Executive Director for the Greater Williamson Road Area Business Association. But I'm here to invite you to an event that we are co-hosting with the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke. We are co-hosting the Commonwealth Day of Play, which is going to be on Saturday, August 8th. It's the day after the Brain Injuries Golf Tournament because they are also going to be at our event on the 8th. And it's a time that we're inviting parents and kids to come out. It's going to be at the Brookside Par 3 Golf Course on Williamson Road. Last year, we had a little over 365 kids and their families there. So we're inviting them to come again, plus more. And we're asking them to put down their phones, put down all their electronics, and come outside and play. And we're going to have a portable trout pond, I'm told, there. We're going to have golfing. We're going to have all kinds of things that kids are just going to love. So to that end, and everything is free. We're paying for everything. So Blue Cow ice cream is going to be there. Hot Diggity Dog is going to be there. So everything is free. We just want families to come out and have a good time. And I'm told that the governor has put this high on her list to being there to join with us. So if that happens, that's the biggest coup we could have, biggest support. So we'll keep you posted on that part. But she is very interested in what we're doing. She loves the Kiwanis. She loves us. And so, to that end, the ask that I'm making right now is we need volunteers. We'd love to have you come out and join us. It's just a day of fun, a day of play, and just to hang out. And for more information, you can contact me, but definitely Jean for sure. She will give you all the information you need. Thanks.
Steve McGraw with two brags. First one is on my former Chief Deputy, Rhonda Perdue. Raise your hand, Rhonda. Thank you. A member of this club for several years now. She was the world's greatest Chief Deputy Clerk, and now she's the world's greatest Roanoke County Circuit Court Clerk, Board of Supervisors Clerk. I knew I'd get it right eventually. Thank you. The other brag is on two of our former presidents and me, and it involves a conversation I had with J.C. Taylor yesterday. I said, J.C., are you coming to the meeting tomorrow? He said, no, I'm playing golf. I said, okay. So about an hour later, he called me and said, by the way, Ken Briggs needs to give me some tickets, and can he give them to you since I can't be there? I said, yeah, I'll do that. So then I get here, and JC and Ken are both here, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Have you ever heard of the Bermuda Triangle? Well, this is the Taylor-Briggs-McGraw Triangle.
Steve, I would say JC is scared of Preston Tyler. That's why he showed up. Uh-huh. Now we know the real reason. Thank you. Cards. Where are the cards? Are they making it around? Are we pretty good? Okay, keep pushing the cards. Now I'd like to call Reeve Kessler up to introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, President Joyce. It's a subtle reminder. I'll be out at the table after the meeting. I'm at the podium now to do something that is a little bit unusual, and that is to introduce one of our fellow club members as today's speaker. Eric Sichow is indeed a member of the Kiwanis Club of Roanoke. Some of us know him. Some may know who he is and what he does. I suspect some in the room have no idea who he is or why he's here. He's rarely here on Wednesdays, but he is an important member. There are few here who logged more hours working at KPAD this year than Eric. He was there early on Friday and stayed late, getting the tent up and getting it outfitted. He was there before dawn on Saturday in the tent and was there when the doors on the truck were closed. He also sold some tickets for the sausage swatters. There are a variety of ways to be productive as a Roanoke Kiwanian. You'll probably hear that from me again over the coming years. Back to Eric, who currently serves as the president and CEO of the Roanoke Chamber of Commerce. He holds a degree in business from Salisbury University. His early business experience was with the Delmarva Shorebirds baseball team. I think they may have played the Salem Red Sox along the way. Right. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but Ken is. He came to Roanoke in 2019 as the Roanoke Chamber of Commerce's Director of Membership Services. Achieving considerable success in that role, he was promoted to CEO in early 2023, helping elevate the Chamber's presence in the Valley through a variety of initiatives. Our club is a member of the Chamber, and the Chamber holds a reciprocal corporate membership in our organization. Hopefully that relationship will be increasingly beneficial as time goes by. He will today have a few comments about the Chamber and then about Leadership Roanoke Valley. Subsequently, he will introduce Andrew Joseph, who was this year's leader of the LRV's team transportation. More information about LRV and presentation from other team leaders will be the focus of our meeting next week. So, Eric, here is the podium of your Kiwanis Club.
Appreciate it. All right. See how close we got to get this. Is that good? We're good on audio. Hopefully they can hear us on Zoom. If we need the microphone, we'll do it. Well, Reef, thank you. Way too long of a bio, so I appreciate your kind words and kind words about the chamber and kind words about my way to get here. So first, we'll do a shout out. I was not the only one that was there from the beginning and there at the end. Mike was also, we'll say, my co-compadre conspirator with KPAD, and appreciate it's such a great event. I've only been a member for a couple years and missed KPAD last year because my wife and I, we had our second daughter, so it was a little important. I was still at Carillion at the time, but was cheering you all on from the hospital room. But was glad to be back with the group this year, and I know that's such an impactful program, and as Reef mentioned, just one of the many ways that we can all get involved as the club. So, Mike, thanks for being my KPAD person, and we'll do it again next year, my friend. So, and Reef, again, it's part of his kind introduction. I was not a player. I am not good at baseball. So I took the other high road and was in the front office for 8 years with the Shorebirds, and they are now in the same league as the Salem Ridgeacs, and just grateful for that experience and what set me up to come here. So it's probably 3 or 4 years ago, and John, you might remember when I was last up here to talk about the chamber, and we might have done a little LRV spin. So we'll kind of say this is a good little update. But just glad to be here to just talk about what is an important piece to our chamber program of work. I think many of you know the chamber has been around since 1889 and had a long-standing history on our importance and our impact on advocacy, certainly leadership programs, certainly many of our events that we do. I know many of you, your businesses or your current business are members of the chamber, and many of you have been on our chamber board of directors. Bart Wilner is one of our past board chairs. Ben Oldham, who's again here as a guest of Mike, but Ben's my current board chair, so I didn't know he was going to be here. So I guess we have a board meeting tomorrow morning, so I guess we'll have an update. So appreciate Ben being here. So again, the chamber has a long history and a long history of impact here in the region. And we say we're the regional chamber because we really cover 7 localities, certainly the cities of Roanoke, cities of Salem, Ottotac County, Franklin County, Roanoke County. And then we all know how Virginia cities, counties, and towns work. It's a little unique. So we do make sure that we cover from an advocacy side, the town of Rocky Mount, and certainly our friends in the town of Vinton. So a lot that we do. We have a small staff. We've actually added 2 staff in the last couple of weeks, and I'll introduce one of them shortly that's here. Again, I'm proud of what our team does and proud of what our team does for the region and for the regional business community. From an advocacy side, we don't, as many of you hopefully know, we don't endorse candidates, but we do endorse ideas, and we'll support and oppose legislation and legislative matters on the local level, certainly on the regional level, on the state level, and then every once in a while we'll sign on to a letter with the U.S. Chamber. I actually just signed on the one last week for their Build America 250 legislation that is really engaged on continued appropriations for national infrastructure on roads, rail, ports, inland ports, all the things. So a lot of advocacy and proud of what our work to on that. It can be a little politically challenging these days, but I know that when we take a stand on an issue, we try to put it with a lens of what's best for the business community. And we know that folks may not agree with that stance every once in a while, and that's okay. I'll take the heat and I'll wear the shoulders. But it's important for us to be engaged and know that our members that may not be able to say they endorse or oppose XYZ as legislation. That's why the chamber's here. That's why we're here to be able to take a position on those issues. So I'm going to kind of give a little, again, want to make sure we get to the reason you all are here today, not to hear about the chamber, but really LRV, and it'll be 2 parts. So I'll kind of give you a 30,000 foot view. Let Andrew Joseph, who I'll introduce here shortly, let him land the plane. And then when we're back next week, we'll be kind of a part 2, as some other folks from some of the other teams with LRV will give a very, very shortened synopsis next week on their impact for the year. So one call to action. I only have 6 of them because they're expensive to print. But I have 6 of them. We have an annual report that we really kind of amped it up going into this year. So this is a 2025 annual report. But again, we're going to take the whole year to be able to use it. So I have my copy and 5 more. Encourage you, if you're interested, to grab one. And then as we'll
briefly talk about shortly our Leadership Roanoke Valley program, which highlights not only Andrew that's going to speak here shortly, but also a little bit of the class from this year. And those folks just graduated last month, about a month ago, actually, to the day from the program. So if you're inclined to have some reading material, I got a handful of copies for you. So, but first, last thing on the chamber, we did add 2 staff members in the last couple of weeks. So we have a staff of 7, and then we do have a registered lobbyist that acts as our government affairs out of Richmond. So one of our newest employees was, you heard earlier, she's a guest of mine and a guest of the chamber is my new executive assistant and our chamber executive assistant, Cassie Johnson. Cassie will say she's a boomerang from here originally, went out to Lexington, and she worked for a company, a big fan company. We'll just say that, a big fan company. We won't say the word, but we'll say a big something fan company out in Lexington. And we're glad to have her corporate background and was an important part of the team out there. And we're glad to have her back to really be support for our team. And then, have 6 other staff members and just proud of our team and proud of what we're doing. So a few other introductions as we kind of transition into LRV. So Andrew, you'll hear from shortly. Anna Fierro was recognized as a guest earlier. Anna is our chair. She is our chair, just newly installed chair of LRV for the next 2 classes. So she'll help support our team and help support the program and make sure it aligns with the chamber mission for not only the class of 2026-27, but 2027-2028. And then you already heard Kaylin introduced as guest of Rhonda. So Kaylin is a graduate of LRV from, I'm going to mess it up, Kaylin, 1 year ago, 2 years ago. That's right. Okay, so Rhonda's 2022, Kaylin's 2023. I did also hear Harry Zuloff is an LRV alum from 2001. Where's Harry? There he is. He shouldn't have told me that. So he's celebrating his 25th anniversary as an LRV alum. So Kaylin's now involved on our LRV Alumni Association and really starting to get that back up to speed. And I'm sure I'm missing other folks that are LRV alumni. John, I don't know the year. I did not do my research. And Bart. Yep. And Bart. 85. Yeah. So the first LRV class was the class of 1984. So 83, 84 was the first class. So second or third. Yeah. Yep. So it's been a long-standing program. And again, what's been the impact? Now we have folks going through the program that are young professionals, new to Roanoke or newly graduated, and getting them to stay here. We also have folks that are, we'll say, seasoned professionals that are just new to the region, but new to their role with XYZ company. And then you'll have folks that may have been with a company, but have not been in a leadership role. So getting them involved in that at that stage in their professional journey is important. So you'll see folks from across the gamut, and as far as the diverse business community that we represent. So glad of how LRV continues to evolve. It's a 10-month program, typically kicks off in August with an opening breakfast. We do a overnight retreat in September, and then their program days from October through May that are designed around different topics. The teams are all put in teams based on a DISC assessment and we'll say leadership qualities, and then wraps up in June with a graduation. So it's a very hands-on program. It really is you get out of LRV what you put into it. We do have attendance protocols and all that, but really where you develop those relationships is with your team and helping dive into a topic. And you'll hear from Andrew shortly on his topic of transportation. That's where you really get the impact, and you're able to, we really try to put a regional spin on it. Again, so glad that our chamber headquarters is still here within the city of Roanoke, but we serve the broader region, and there are topics that affect the region. And the more that we can speak from that regional voice, the better I believe that we'll be positioning ourselves as a business community in the future. So you'll hear from Andrew today on he kind of led the transportation team in their day. It was actually the one day I missed. I was out of town. They have some tremendous impact, and Andrew will give you a little bit of a snapshot, and then I encourage you to connect with them if available after and in the future. So Andrew's going to come talk up really about what was their goal, what did they do, what was their desired impact and calls to action, not only for his fellow cohort, but really fellow team members on the cohort, but those else in LRV. What were they trying to accomplish? And I would say from the feedback I've heard, it was one of the best programs we had for the year. Again, all of them are very unique, very different. The transportation team really nailed it, and certainly the chamber's heavily involved in transportation advocacy, so it was pleased to see the angle that they took. So again, I'll turn it over to Andrew. Andrew Joseph is he's with his day job is Tread Corporation. Andrew can tell you a little bit about that if he desires. And he's also on our chamber board of directors. I think he's in his second or third years on our chamber board of directors, second year. See, I should know. Ben's going to knock that on me now for tomorrow. And again, glad that Andrew's on our chamber board and certainly now an official graduate of LRV class of 2026. So I know that was a very, very high level view. I'll go back to my notes and I'll say some things next week of things that I missed. But really at this point, I want to turn over to Andrew to explain Team Transportation Day from what was March of 2026. And I'm sure we'll have some questions at the end, and I'll make sure I talk longer than I should have. That's why I have to have a script, and I don't have a script. But that's why I should have a script. But again, thank you all for the opportunity. And again, as Reef mentioned, I don't get to these weekly meetings often. I do have some standing conflicts that happen. But Alex does a great job on his emails, and I appreciate them, and I read them, and it helps me stay in tune. And with my wife and our two young daughters, it can be a little difficult to get to some of the evening and weekend things, just with my priorities needing to be at home in midst of my busy schedule. So I'll turn it over to Andrew. So glad that we're here. We'll be back for part 2 next week. Leadership Roanoke Valley, again, one of the important parts of our program. Take that. I'll leave those up there if you need it.
Put somewhere you guys can hear me, hopefully. All right. Hello. I'm Andrew Joseph. If you didn't hear Eric say it several times, thanks for having me today. I am the supply chain manager for a company called Tread Corporation. Been in the Valley since 1957. Many people don't know who Tread is, but we've been here for a long time, so we just kind of keep quiet to ourselves and do our own thing over on the other side of the valley near Bonsack area. But absolutely check us out, look us up. We do some pretty amazing, awesome engineering work and send some pretty cool equipment out there in the world in the mining industry. So I was the chair of the transportation team this year. Obviously, we had a really amazing group. Anna was actually our head advisor. So she's also great as well. It was a pleasure working with all of them. So basically, our transportation day was focused on transportation equity in the valley and the region, safety, and then, of course, equality. So we looked at the bus system, Valley Metro, on how that works. We brought in experts and local groups from Valley Metro to talk and teach people in the LRV group and the alum and the advisors about how the Valley Metro system works, where the gaps are, where we can see things for improvement, and also put everybody on a bus and send them around town for a couple hours that day. It was a very, very wonderful experience, and everybody, I believe, took a lot away from that. We also had several other groups come in. We had, as far as disabled or help transportation. We had a gentleman come in and speak about his experiences with transportation, not just in the valley, but around. An advocate came in. Anna, you may remember his name. I apologize. I forget it. But he came in and spoke to the group. He was confined to a permanent chair and actually had to have somebody speak for him at the meeting, but the program day, but came in and he was an advocate for disabled transportation, not just here, but in the U.S. in general. He actually goes to D.C. and speaks as well. Enjoyed that part of it. We had local police, fire groups come in as well. They talked about safety. They talked about the Greenway, new installment of the Greenway and transportation around that, how that's going to work, how that improves the area, and how people can get around easier. We also had Virginia Tech. We partnered with them to bring in some of their smart technology. They brought in one of their autonomous vehicles down here to the train station venue just down the street, not too far away. They set it up outside, had demo screens set up to show everybody how that vehicle operates, all the testing that they've done with it, all the technology they're working on to go out into the world to work on autonomous cars, work on that, whether that's EVs or your traditional combustion engines as well. And then we also had in the afternoon a lot of safety focused aspects as well. We had a driver safety program come in and with a simulator for people to actually test out and get into the rig and actually do some simulated driving. And then we also had a local group bring in e-bikes as well to ride on the Greenway so that people could actually experience that firsthand and experience the e-bikes as well. All in all, it was a very, very rewarding day.
to have all these groups come together to talk about not just transportation as a whole, but talk about the needs for the region, also the things we can improve on, obviously the updates, and then of course the new advances in technology that are coming down the line. All of that combined into one day, I think we did a pretty decent job at rounding that about and getting that information out to everybody so they could take away from that day what things do we need to work on, what things are coming down the line, and of course, with transportation, what can we get better at? Who can advocate and improve for Valley Metro or for the sidewalks or for the lanes and all the construction work that's going on with VDOT. We even partnered with them as well. Had somebody come in and speak about all their plans as well in the region. So very, very rewarding day. Just to add on to the LRV as a whole in general, just the program itself, meeting with all the different connections I made, not just in my team, but amongst the other LRV members, the advisors, also the other alum that came in and joined us on our day, enjoyed all the other program days throughout the year. Just an amazing program, very enjoyable, learned a lot, made great connections. And just from me as a leader and myself, I was a leader coming into the program with Trade Corporation as a manager, obviously, but gaining that added knowledge from all the lessons taught from all the different program days, and then making the connections with other local leaders to, I can just pick up the phone and call these guys now and say, hey, I have a question. How would you handle this? So very, very rewarding program, and absolutely would recommend it to anybody. I was actually wanted to get back into it back in 2019 when I was the president of Roanoke Disc Golf, a local nonprofit, and we actually had one of our members go through the program. So very, very exciting stuff, and I can't say anything bad about it at all. It's a very amazing program. So any questions or anybody? Did I explain it pretty well? Good. Very straightforward. Oh, yes, sir.
You had told us that you had some issues that might be out there. Worst issue that you needed, the community needs to address.
So one of the big things that came up was, of course, the Metro itself is limited in the areas that it goes. It's also limited into the hours that it operates. Those are some things that came up. The other things we talked about were disabled transportation, finding ways to get around, ride shares and things like that. How do people get to the doctor's office, when they don't have a car and they can't afford a car, or they don't have the ability to drive a car? How do these people get around? What resources are there out there for them? So there was education around that as well. And then also advocacy for how do we get more of that, or educating the people on, hey, consider this more when you're looking at these type of topics. Safety, obviously a key thing, talking about safe intersections, interactive intersections, where you got people walking, you've got people biking, you've got cars, you've got trains, you need all these different aspects coming together in different areas. And how do we do that better? How do we improve on that to where, one, it's safe and it also isn't a log jam? So we talked a little bit, touched on that as well. Those are kind of the highlights, big challenges we saw in the region. Does that answer your question? Yes, sir. Others. Okay, so time commitment, I like to call it my part-time job for 10 months. It's not a huge lift, but it is a commitment. I mean, we met weekly, pretty regularly every week. Sometimes we might miss a week in between there, but our group met weekly. Obviously, everybody had to take away tasks. One person's doing PowerPoints, one person's doing planning, another person's calling and making appointments to meet with Virginia Tech and discuss what they can offer, and reaching out. So, I mean, we had a group of 6 people, plus our advisors, obviously. We had 3 of those, so it is a commitment. It is a heavy lift, but it's also so rewarding in the end. So I wouldn't say that to deter anybody. There is definitely some work involved, especially for the participants side of thing. You're planning a program day. You're planning an event that 50 plus people, sometimes more than that, obviously, are going to come. And they're coming to get an experience. They're going to learn things. They're going to come away with calls to actions, and then of course goals and give them what you're trying to teach them, give them the message you're trying to get out about what your program day is focused on. So obviously ours was transportation, and you'll learn from the others that come next week and in the future. There's other obviously topics out there like small business and such that will have other issues they focused on tackled. But it is definitely a big commitment. Yes, ma'am.
To identify this problem.
Mm-hmm.
To solution.
Yes, ma'am. So we did. Oh, I apologize. The question asked was, did we find any solutions or recommend any solutions with the issues we did bring up? Yes, there were some obviously that we brought to the table. So, for example, with the disabled travelers side of things, it's more about advocacy and getting that information in front of the right people, so that when they make decisions around transportation and public transportation, to take those things into consideration when they're looking at moving those people around. When we talked about the ride shares, the getting people to and from their appointments, seeing doctors, or getting to town and such. We talked about educate everybody on all the options that are out there currently, and how they can get to those options, and how they can talk to those people, and what phone numbers to call and such. We also did calls to actions for people to go out and take the surveys to learn more about these things, and also give their points, or their how they would recommend things change in those areas. Apologies. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Somebody presumably thought about this. Can you tell us about what new future transportation issues the city ought to be thinking about?
So the question was, what issues should the city be looking at for the future state and advancements and such? What issues will we see coming down the road? Obviously, one thing to consider is traffic's not getting any better. There's more people moving to the area. So these interactive intersections that VDOT has taught us about, obviously are supposed to help with that transition. From what I understand, with the intersections, there could be like the Orange Avenue one, going all the way to Bonsack. They could, with the changes in development, which is years in the works, obviously, that's going to reduce the travel time from, I believe, from the bridge 581 all the way down to Bonsack by about 10 minutes. So those changes, that's coming, but the traffic's still going to build up, obviously. With more bike traffic with the Greenway and walking traffic and such like that, they're going to continue to expand on the Greenways as well. That those are interconnected across the city, and I believe that program, and Eric, you can comment if you'd like. I believe those programs are going to continue to expand and add more to the Greenways to add to that type of traffic. We didn't even touch on, and Eric will kick me for this one, we didn't even touch on the airport and all the needs with the airport, with Roanoke Airport, with expanding and adding new flights, and how do we get bigger planes into the area. That wasn't even part of our day, but we know that's coming, and that's something that needs to be talked about and discussed as well. We touched on it a little bit. Eric wasn't there to hear it, but we did touch on it at the beginning of the day to make that is another big issue coming down the line, is how do we increase the capacity of our airport and get people in and out of the region safely. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just as a little bit of a follow-up.
Yeah.
What do you see as the interaction with Blacksburg as far as transportation is concerned in that part?
So question was, how do we coordinate with Blacksburg and incorporate them into the transportation growth and development? Well, so VTTI, Virginia Transportation Institute, Technology Institute, they absolutely are involved with that, and want to continue to be a part of the regional side of things and continue to grow the transportation from them to us. There already is the SmartWay bus and some options getting people to and from. There's expansion of the railroad, a new line expanding to Blacksburg on the line that we have here in Roanoke from Amtrak. So that's coming down the line. I can't remember exactly. It's like another 2 years out, I believe, before that takes place. Christiansburg, excuse me. Yeah, so that'll get you a lot closer to Blacksburg. But all those things are in the air and talks as well, and partnering with them and expanding I-81, making it safer, wider, doing adjustments, and also, of course, ways how do we get students from Virginia Tech back and forth from Roanoke to there, and of course other places north and west and east of Roanoke as well. Definitely, they're a key part of that partnership of how do we grow and develop the transportation to and from that region and our region. Yes, sir.
Just to pick up my friend Reed for a second, I'm very much in favor of an expansion of passenger rail to Christiansburg.
Yeah.
Very much in favor of improving 81. I'm an environmentalist. I'm not one environmentalist that thinks on 81 that 4 lanes would equate to 4 trucks. I think the trucks are what they are, and the road isn't good enough for the capacity
To support it, yes, sir.
Yeah. What other, besides the SmartWay bus and these things we're just talking about, I mean, what other things can we really do to get between Roanoke and Blacksburg faster? I know they've talked about putting a highway road essentially down through the Ellen Valley, but we've already got a 4-lane, at least 4-lane, if not 6-lane, limited access highway from Lane Stadium to Templewood Mall.
Mhm.
I just don't know what else we need.
So the question was around what additional things can be added to get people to and from Blacksburg faster and more efficiently beyond what's already available and the things that are coming down the line. So our group didn't dabble into that too much with the Blacksburg connection. Eric's got a mic in his hand, so it sounds like he might have an idea. But for our group really didn't touch on that side of it too much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add some commentary on. I mean, there's plenty to your question of how do you get involved, making sure that you're incorporated and included with Roanoke County and their transportation planning, showing up to the public hearings and the open houses that they do for different sections of transportation. Kaylin and Rhonda can help with that. Megan Cronice would be so proud of me today mentioning that. But same thing in the city, because those are really conducted through VDOT. Just depends on what part of the locality it's in. So making sure you know when those open houses are and showing up for them and being able to provide that feedback is huge, because that does help with the transportation planning. And then also give a shout out to Jeremy Holmes with the Roanoke Valley Allegheny Regional Commission. They have their TPO, which is their transportation planning organization. Again, publicly funded organization. And that would be another way to see they're heavily involved in that. And then I'll just say transportation advocacy in general. And Andrew's done a great job hitting on that, is needing to make sure that whether you're a young professional or retired and heavily involved in the Kiwanis Club, we all need to be informed and involved and engaged on transportation planning, whether it's the airport. We could do a whole program on the airport, and I'd love to do one with Mike Stewart, and we could tag team just the importance of our airport. And I'll say on the airport, we have a great airport for the size of our region. We have a fantastic airport for the size of our region. It's a pre 9/11 airport, so there's some challenges from an access standpoint that need to be done. And when that access is improved, we'll just say that's moving of TSA. So where you're all familiar with TSA at the top of the escalator, well, that's kind of using up. That's not kind of, it's using up a potential gate that could be used for another flight. So there's some other, we'll say, infrastructure and maybe some of the non-sexy stuff inside the airport that needs to get done to just enhance it. And then certainly we all talk about the expansion of the runway, and it's not necessarily an if you build it, they will come. But having the extended runway and helping with some of that access actually on the tarmac will help things tremendously with the airport. If that answers your question. And then
That idea of the road going through the Coachella Valley through the would be something that I think a lot of people would be opposed to, when it would save like 10 minutes getting from Blacksburg. I just don't, myself and a lot of others don't think the trade-offs really.
Gotcha.
Talk about.
And even on 81, we've had really good investment and appropriation on 81. Like, I know we all don't really like the slowdowns and the construction, but we've been very blessed to have, as they like to say, a lot of tranche of money invested from really exit 119 all the way up to exit 160. That's going to end at some point. We're not going to get as much as we have. We have been very blessed, and our champion for those is Delegate Terry Austin out of Botetourt County. He is really our regional transportation champion. And he's been able to secure a lot of funding for 81 that is now going to start to shift north towards the Stanton district and Winchester, and even south towards the Bristol district. As far as VDOT's concerned, we've been very blessed to get a lot of money for 81. And I know we all hate the construction, but it is, like, I notice it, and maybe I am biased, but you can see how it is helping with that congestion. So
Terry's a great guy to help make the trip from Roanoke to Blacksburg less terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. And as Eric said, there's so many other resources out there to get involved and ask questions and advocate for. And also I have connections myself, obviously with one of our team members on the transportation team is in the Roanoke County planning group. Her name's Sarah Gilmore. And then also Eric mentioned Megan Cronice, so we can get you in contact with some people if you have more questions or would like to learn more about what's going on with the plans, obviously. All right. We got two quick. One more question. Okay.
So I-81 it's good for if Eric has a regional bit of infrastructure as a road bill,
Just this valley with anything that's going on that's current in North Carolina. And when do you think we're going to re-explore the ability to connect with cities that are prosperous and developing, like Durham, Chapel Hill, Winston-Salem, in a much more efficient way? It's great to explore everything locally. Maybe it's a start of that.
Eric can definitely
Yes, I can
tackle
take
that question. I can give a little insight, but I think he's probably the better one to answer.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jeff, and I know we're tight on time, and I want to be mindful of that. There's a massive difference between what we'll call State Route 220 until you get to North Carolina line, and then when that turns into I-73, it's a tremendous difference on a lot of things. I would say that I-73, that concept is kind of dead. I-73 concept is dead as far as the connector. Now, there's a lot of work being done, and if it has not already been a Kiwanis topic, I'll be on record saying having someone come speak on the Blue Ridge Innovation Corridor, whether that be Haywood Fralin, or I know Paul Nestor was just with us last week, or Ben Davenport, or the consultant they work with. The Blue Ridge Innovation Corridor, one of their projects over the next 25, 24 years as a part of their Vision 2050 is to improve accessibility on 220, because that's a tough stretch.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really tough stretch from 58 to 20 right there by Martinsville Speedway. Basically from that section to the North Carolina line, man, we think it's tough going up from here to Martinsville. That's a dangerous stretch.
Yeah.
And accessibility has to be better there to help open up opportunities to RDU and other things. Bart, yeah, I guess real quick.
On the brick, but
Yeah, Brick.
budget just got bad. Put $90 million.
They did.
Start very, very positive. Martinsville basically to
North Carolina line.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's 90 million is a lot of money. It's not enough for the whole project, but it's a great start. And it's a great question, Jeff. Like it's a loaded question on how we increase accessibility on 220, but we're going to need it because again, we got great accessibility north to south, but being able to open up opportunity into North Carolina. And again, we can be a little biased. Virginia, we need to be a better state for business in North Carolina, but there's still, from a logistics side and all the growth that's happening down in Danville, that's good for our region. It's great for Danville. They're in a renaissance, but that growth down there that's happening, whatever it may be, again, they've had a diverse set of industry help them with that down there, but the growth that's happening down in Danville and the growth that's going to be happening at that Berry Hill mega site with Microporous and other things, that's going to help us, and it's going to help increase and hopefully enhance that connectivity to North Carolina. So
cool.
Andrew did a great job. The transportation team did a great job.
Thank you all. I'll be around for a few minutes, obviously, if you have any questions, of course, and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Eric, would you come back, please? Eric is out. All right, the cards. Where are the cards? They're right there. Okay, cards are home. We're good. Stay tuned. We get part 2 next week, so you will want to come back for the second feature. So, and if you would like a hug from Dee, please come and get them. With that, we will see you next week.